Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Don't forget, we got Mindspeak coming up, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, with Professor Howard French. And he's really an expert and a deep diver into the whole China-Africa relationship. And I'm sure that's going to be extremely interesting for all of us. Political reflections: 80% of the tariff burden will be borne by Chinese producers, according to one estimate. That's in the Nikkei Asian Review. And that chimes with what I'm thinking as well, is that the Chinese, being the biggest seller into the US market, are going to have to absorb this tariff increase. I'm saying consumer prices of these products in the US would rise by 4.5%. Their producer prices in China would plunge 20.5%. Hu Hijin, who I follow and who seems to be the real-time mouthpiece of the Chinese government, in Chinese internet, many people describe the current China-US tussle as the art of the deal versus on protracted war. Protracted war is well known among Chinese as a strategy to exhaust the opponent. The latter was written by Mao Zedong in 1938 during China's anti-Japanese war. Protracted war is well known among Chinese as a strategy to exhaust the opponent. So I'll stick with that tariff wars. Who blinks first? We know the stock market and the farm economy are President Trump's Achilles heel, but so far Trump has been really smart at massaging and strumming the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, and his timing of his tweets, very conciliatory during trading hours, is quite remarkable actually, and speaks to a level of sophistication which some people might not give him credit for. However, I stick with what I said in October when I said the incident with the USS Decatur, where a Chinese warship came within 45 yards of the USS Decatur in the South China Sea, is surely a precursor. European officials described Ambassador Bolton and Secretary Pompeo as pushing an unsuspecting President Trump through a series of steps that could put the United States on a course to war before the president realizes it. Basically, there will be people in Washington who will push for limited kinetic action against the Iranian regime to cut it down to size. A lot of the sort of military types I speak to have become quite hardline all of a sudden. As I said, what we know is this: Iran is at the Hunter S. Thompson edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. ExxonMobil evacuated workers from an oil field in Iraq. And I think that, if the US thinks Tehran will just roll over, and clearly they do, because they've really punched, they've used this very coercive financial and sanction warfare, and they probably feel that it's just a cardboard cutout and you just give it a little push. But I think that would be as deluded thinking as the day before the peacock throne itself got plucked. Iran, in my opinion, is a geopolitical bleeding edge. This level of financial and coercive sanction warfare is simply unprecedented. President Trump has been a big proponent of coercive financial and sanction warfare, and its expression vis-a-vis Iran is its apogee. And as Marwan said, US demands basically constitute total Iranian surrender, not only to the US, but to Israel and Saudi Arabia. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corporation commander, Major General Hossein Soleimani, says, because the enemy has stepped into the field of confrontation with us, with all possible capacity, this is the most decisive moment of the Islamic Revolution, he says. We are on the cusp of a full-scale confrontation with the enemy. Khamenei, of course, decorated Soleimani with Iran's most prestigious Medal of Honor, the Order of Zulfikar. I said before, the Iranians will surely manage to shutter the Straits of Hormuz, even if after an asymmetric fashion. Of course, the Houthis attacked the east-west pipeline, which is equally important because it was meaning the Saudis could avoid the Straits of Hormuz. Donald Trump has pardoned Conrad Black, who said of him, "A president like no other. Like the country he represents, Trump possesses the optimism to persevere and succeed, the confidence to affront tradition and convention, a genius for spectacle, and a firm belief in common sense and the common man." China formally arrested 2 Canadians who've been detained for months on national security grounds: Michael Kovrig, a former diplomat, and Michael Spavor, a businessman. I take you back to the truce dinner where Hue official Wang Manzhou was arrested immediately in the aftermath of that dinner. And then the Chinese, Xinhua said Canada will face grave consequences if it does not immediately release Meng Wanzhou. And I was saying the Vancouver real estate market, which has boomed for decades on the back of Chinese demand, now looks horribly exposed.